8:30, Sewer Commission, Tuesday, July 29th, 8:30 a.m. In attendance.
September 9th.
September 9th. Attendance is Eric, Commissioner Gondavere. You're being taped by John Patch and newly appointed Commissioner Bob Higgins. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Commissioner myself. And also there's our Administrative Secretary Liz Welch and Superintendent of Highway Randy Sylvester and Supervisor Steve Dempsey. And also we have a representative from the Advisory Committee and Steve Peterson with Weston and Sampson and his associate. And we'll start off with the minutes of the previous meeting.
I've read through them, and there's a lot going on there. I would make a motion to approve the minutes because we're probably going to wind up using some of those minutes today.
Are we a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the first article on the agenda is betterment regulations, and I talked to Bob, and he's going to do an overview on it.
Just basically, I think the approach that we need to take on this is, and everyone is that, what are the total number of units or the total connections up on that project? You know, Randy, it's 40 or 30 or...
Where are you speaking?
The
Shipping cottage.
area.
It's 30, right?
So there are 30 units. So when the final cost analysis comes in, okay, and then we can determine what the 30 unit cost is, and then we can reduce that again by the 20-year, period. And I think that would be the best way to fairly treat everyone up there. Everyone pays equally for the betterment. I can't see any other way of doing it. And it's just a suggestion, and I think others may have suggestions too, and need to be ready to listen to all of that. Okay, but that would be my suggestion, how we would handle that. And when do we expect the final cost, any loose ends up there that need to be resolved and stuff?
Punch list.
Give you a quick update on that.
Yeah.
So we did have a site walk this morning with the contractors. Steve and Randy were there.
Okay.
And they pretty much completed their punch list. There are a few miscellaneous items. They're going to be requesting, making a formal request of substantial completion of the project, which based on the walkthrough today, we will acknowledge with a minimal punch list of a couple of things that they need to take care of. None of which affect the operation of the system.
Okay.
Once we acknowledge the substantial completion, the town is basically taking over ownership of the line, and we'll be able to send out letters, if that's what they choose to do, to the residents that the system is approved for use.
Okay.
And what that also means is, in terms of the costs, we're pretty much there. We know, the stuff that they're doing. The punch list stuff remaining that are not pay items.
Okay.
We've gotten, there'll be one more pay rec to come through, which will include a balancing change order to just resolve the quantities of what the contract amount was versus what the final amount of the contract is, and we have those.
Okay, is there a retention money in there for?
So we've been holding retainage, so we're at 5%, everything's at 5% right now.
Okay.
When the punch list is complete, so what you do is, when you issue the acknowledged substantial completion, you give them their punch list and you put a monetary value to it, and you make sure that you've got retainage to meet the punch list. At this point, the punch list will be next to nothing.
Okay.
And we'll probably be moving into, releasing the retainage and into the warranty,
Okay.
into the 1-year warranty. Whatever we need to hold. Yeah.
Yes, we will need to hold some.
Right. So there will be retainage on anything that's outstanding and that the town needs to be covered in regard to.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. That's what's important.
Yeah.
You guys have to live with it down there, so, good, thank you.
Any other comments, Eric? No.
Okay, so I think Ed, we probably should draft that policy up, ship it around to Randy and the selectmen, and
Take
have
it
a-
up at the next meeting?
take it up at the next meeting. And it's my sense that because we have other issues pending also, that maybe in 2 weeks from now, that we could meet with the draft of what we're planning to do. And then in our October meeting, which will be the end of October,
23rd.
we'll 23rd, we'll vote on that, and that will give the public ample time, more than 30 days actually, to comment, vent their concerns, or letters, or what have you, okay? And then
Weston and Sampson, I believe, has a
I
draft
can
policy.
get you, we're,
Oh, okay.
This afternoon to get some more information.
Yeah,
I'll give
well-
you the starting point or what
Okay.
the draft policy is for
Okay.
the review.
And you're gonna-
that's perfect. I think within a couple of weeks, we should talk about a work session to discuss,
okay, that would be
to
great.
discuss the policy.
Right, and so you're going to forward a lot of that, you're going to forward all of that also to Randy, so that he can have time to review it, all right? Okay.
Send us a copy, will you?
Yeah, we're gonna get,
Yeah.
and in that discussion, if Ed will allow me to attend that discussion, I certainly would be happy to
Yeah.
be there.
You're the point man. Okay.
Yeah, okay,
We'll receive it, we'll
Yeah, okay.
distribute it to you.
yeah, okay, good. Okay,
No other discussion on it. We'll move on to Weir River Sewer District tie-in policy discussion. Bob, you gonna talk to that?
yeah, okay. I don't have the regulations, or I have to get a copy of that, but, so it's difficult for me to comment on that, but, and I haven't met with Randy on the operational aspect of what's going on there, if there's, or his designee as to what this really is all about. If there needs to be policy change, is that maybe what we're talking about, Randy, or is it just that, is there some policy change that you need to make?
Weir River Sewer District?
We had that, though.
Oh, okay, you have it here?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, that's just like the criteria that they have used.
okay, is there
That's the
something,
criteria they've used in the past.
okay, is
We are
that,
limited on the amount that we can take in to go to Hull. So there is a cap on that.
that's right, and now do we know where we are on that cap? Are we within 80% or 90% of the cap, or?
Liz, do you have it?
Percentage, I don't know.
It's roughly 40.
Are we pretty much there, though? Are we within earshot of
There's
capacity?
Roughly 45 bedrooms left.
45? Okay. So we need to be careful how we use that.
How much more capacity does Hull have?
I don't know of any big subdivisions down there that might come online or anything. Do you? Anybody know? Is there any proposals at the planning board or anything? Or just individual lots that may appear through Form A or something like that?
As far as I know.
It's
I know-
additional
Mary?
bedrooms, Yeah.
Yes, I'm not aware of any large subdivisions at the moment.
Okay.
Can you use the mic, please? Thank you.
Hello.
Good morning.
Mary Savage Dunham. Good morning. There's no large subdivisions on the radar at the moment,
Okay.
but I will be sure to keep Randy and Steve in the loop.
Okay. Do we currently have any individual Form A requests for that area?
I'm not in front of me at the moment.
Okay. So,
What about additional capacity from Hull? How much capacity have they got left? Do you have any idea?
I'm afraid I don't.
Okay.
well, I think the 45 bedrooms, that's how they calculate capacity, is that right?
45 bedrooms.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but they have additional capacity in the plan.
I have,
We were supposed to look into that, but Ted was gonna look into it. I've never heard anything back.
I believe what it says in the agreement that the selectmen would have to negotiate more capacity.
Yeah.
I do not know how much they have.
Okay. But we do know that there are only 45 bedrooms.
Bedrooms, yeah.
So for each
Yes.
Form A lot, if a guy wants to build a 4-bedroom house or a 2-bedroom house, that's how we would calculate the remaining available capacity based on that criteria. Is that right? Okay. You just go ahead, Steve.
However it goes in.
I think the question that Mr. Noonan posed was whether or not capacity could be transferred. Am I right?
Well, that was voted unanimously in July.
We're
Yes.
Well,
we're
we're
getting off the
going to get
subject
into
here
that
now.
in a few minutes, Steve, okay? We'll get into that in a few minutes, okay? But, okay, so I guess, Randy, maybe if you want me to sit down with you for a few minutes and go over this and see if you're all set with it, and you want to make changes, certainly we can support change,
Yes, we can sit down and talk about it. We also, I think it should be part of the policy discussion also with Western
All right,
States.
okay. And do you have something in mind that you want to add to this or take from this?
I don't at this point.
Okay,
But Susan Murphy is working on the policy too, I think, she.
Susan Murphy has, and the commission voted on it to hand it over to Weston and Sampson.
Okay.
Right, she can't create the policy, she can just review
Okay.
it once it's done, for
Okay.
legal purposes.
okay. So we just need to find time to sit down, Randy, in your busy schedule to just go over this, and if there's some policy changes that you need, let's
So
go for it.
I think we can do that when we talk to Weston and Sampson
Sampson,
regarding the work session.
Okay, we'll put that on the agenda for the work
Yes.
session too, Ed, all right?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Are there any other comments on that? If not, then we'll go to 0 Rockland Street sewer hookup. Nona?
Can you get-
Just to bring up to date, on July 8th, there was a unanimous vote to transfer the 144 Rockland Street to what's known as 0 Rockland Street, which is my property at 127, but it's known as 0. And so that was going to be able to transfer, that's part of the 45 bedrooms which already exist. There's already one sewer hookup at the 0 Rockland Street, and open space and conservation block 144 Rockland Street, so nothing would be built on there. All I'm asking, it was voted unanimously to transfer that capacity to 0 Rockland Street, so that's already been voted on. But my confusion was that there was going to be a policy set after the vote, which I should think it should be because of the vote. In other words, I want, it's been voted on, but how can you make a policy after a vote? That's where my confusion is, and I would just like to finally finalize this and just be able to move on.
Well, in actuality, I don't think, and I'm going to have to find this out, that we have a right to transfer capacity from one owner to another owner. Just hear me out, okay? That capacity that went with that 144 Rockland Street, that belongs to the Conservation Commission, the Town of Hingham Conservation Commission. That is their right to use that. That came with the property when it was sold, okay? So unless there's a legal agreement between you and the Conservation Commission to transfer that elsewhere, which I don't know if we can do that or not.
My question is,
Is,
because we also sold some land to conservation and open space, so nothing would ever be built there. So if nothing's ever going to be built there, isn't that capacity go back to the sewer commission and you regulated as a voting board?
In my opinion, no, because once you establish a utility to a property, okay, and that becomes part of the property's right, even if it is conservation land or other open space or other lands, what if they elect at some point in the future to put an information resource center in there and walking trails and what have you, and they want to put a little building in there? Next thing you know, you have people, you have a building, and you have to have sewer, you have to have ADH.
Then what happens, this is why I'm all confused.
So, well, I'm trying to clear it for you.
It's already been voted on to transfer it. This is my confusion. And then a policy should be made up because of the vote, not after a vote. In other words, you can't arrest somebody and then make a policy of why you arrested them.
I believe that vote was contingent upon council's.
Yeah, council has reviewed that, and in the minutes, and we will be happy to share those, get you a copy of those minutes. Neither the betterment nor the capacity are transferable under state law. Okay? Okay, now, just hear me out, okay? But what you can do, okay, is you can apply for a permit for capacity, which we have, which you could be granted, and you could put a new sewer service line going into this lot. That's,
There
that,
there is a sewer, there already is one
The
service.
steps are there, right?
Yeah, there's one service. I was
Yeah.
just asking for additional capacity for another house.
I understand that, but each individual lot has to be serviced by one sewer line. You can't put two sewer lines in one lot, but if you have that separate lot, as long as we have capacity, you're right on, and you have frontage there and everything else, you can put a sewer line in there and get your capacity, because all you're really interested in is getting capacity for that other lot, is that correct?
Yes, and we haven't
So-
opened up the street or anything. We have to open it up to bring the sewer line over.
That's correct.
So what I would just like to have somebody say, yes, we can do it and move on and go from there.
Well, I think under the circumstances, there's any
This has been
point
going
that,
on- This has been going on for almost 2 years now, and I was told to go to the town of Hull. The town of Hull said, no, they don't deal with a resident directly.
Correct.
And the town of Hull told me there's like 65,000 something available, and whatever the something is, I don't understand, because I'm not a sewer commissioner, and so forth. And all I'm asking for is just one other hookup, so we can develop the land.
which we can give you that.
Yeah.
We can do that. We can give you that. We can approve a new connection, or Randy has the permitting approval to service
You
that
have the
new,
permitting
that
approval.
We have.
Well, all right,
You have to go.
we have the right to permit it.
Can I ask for the permit today? I mean, I don't know what to do now. It's been going on
Should you send
forever.
a letter to us and ask?
I think just firing an application for a permit to tie into the sewer at the lot there, because it's a buildable lot and what have you. And then you'll probably get a letter back stating that you will be able to get the capacity.
It may be wise to look through what the policy has been first before saying yes or no at this juncture. By all means, apply. And I think you already, didn't you already apply?
Yes.
So,
If we put it on hold until next meeting, we
Okay, let me back up. So the issue is not permitting. That, you've already reviewed that, Randy, is that?
I didn't
Okay.
receive any. I'm just,
I
I don't know.
I never actually wrote anything out. I just asked, and I was told just to come in front of the board and ask for an additional. And then over the last 2 years, just, I've been told to do this and do that. And I've done everything the board's asked me to do.
Okay.
Including perking it and won't perk. So, it's just,
Can
and I
you
know that
Well, just- all right, so how about
there.
this? Send us an application for sewer,
Okay?
okay?
We'll take it up at the 23rd.
We'll take it up on the 23rd when we meet in 2 weeks, okay?
The application
We'll have a
done.
public vote.
DPW.
Okay.
Yeah. Get that application, send it in,
Mhm.
okay? We'll get it in 2 weeks, and then we'll vote on it one way or the other,
Okay.
all right? And, well, that's as quickly as I think we can get to the issue and resolve it, be done
Bob,
with it.
is there a meeting in 2 weeks, or is it
Well,
a month from now?
No,
The
no,
23rd.
the 23rd, we're going to meet publicly again, because there are a number of issues, Randy, and timeframes that are
Okay.
compressed.
September?
Right.
September.
And then we're going to meet again in October, late in
Okay.
October, Randy, and we're going to try to resolve all of the issues that are pending here.
Okay.
All right?
I'm just wondering if we should have that work session before voting, so you know what's in the policy, and we're not doing it all at once, like today. I mean, just for clarification. That's just a
You
suggestion.
want
We're going to review it, and then we'll bring it up at the
All right.
23rd.
to? All right, and then, so why don't we make that meeting, the
Contingent.
contingent on the prior meeting with everybody about the policy and procedure.
It may, and I don't want to
Yeah.
Just have with me.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't want
that's
to, I
okay.
don't want to suggest to put him off, but it might be wise to table this till the October meeting, right? September.
October, okay.
October meeting, have the meeting,
Yeah.
Well, that's what
we can
we're
get through the
talking about,
policy,
23rd.
and then you'll have a better idea when he comes in, and we'll have the application in hand.
Okay.
We said October 23rd anyway, didn't we?
Yeah, but the September 23rd was going to be just
Okay, okay.
a session to resolve our matters.
You're going to go to the DPW and pick up the, do we have an application at the DPW?
We have
We do.
application
We do.
forms, yes, there's a
Sewer connection
procedure,
form.
yeah.
Sewer connections for it, and there's a procedure.
there's one already, we already have a,
We don't have one
He
from...
hasn't physically made it out. Have you?
no, so if he leaves here and goes over to the DPW and gets that thing.
He can
and
fill
fills it
out, he can fill out the form, we'll have the
Well,
form,
I thought
you can have your meeting,
Third.
and we can have the
Yeah.
policy discussion meeting. The next meeting, he can come back, you'll have a better idea what the policy is or going to be, and then you can make a decision.
right.
I guess that's,
We're going to table it till the October 23rd meeting, and September 23rd, rather. And then we will discuss it then, and we'll go one
in
way or the other.
October.
Wait,
October 23rd, I'm coming back.
Yes.
Is it October 29th, September 23rd?
September,
Oh,
October.
I don't know.
But this is
You're
my
right, you're right,
suggestion.
you're right.
Okay.
We'll meet with everybody to.
We're gonna meet again this month,
Right.
Yep.
and you're
23rd.
going to set the policies or discuss the policies.
Because we have some other issues we want to.
Other issues.
Yeah,
Then we can have the work meeting with Weston and Sampson
Yeah.
on the policies. You'll have a better idea what's going on. Then he can come in in October. We'll have the application, we'll have a better idea, and then I'm suggesting that then you can make a decision on it.
Is that all right?
I have one question. We have an application and a procedure for somebody who wants to tie into the, what is it, the North Hingham Sewer District?
No, we're.
That's Ware River.
Ware River.
No, what we're talking about Ware River, but
Yes,
the original one is for the North Hingham Sewer District?
Original.
If someone comes in, excluding him, somebody's over the DPW right now and says, I want to tie into the sewer district.
They have to fill out an application, doesn't
Okay.
matter which one.
Right, okay, so they fill out that application. There's a standard procedure that they have to go through or whatever? So what are we reviewing? That particular
Well,
procedure?
You're reviewing the policy of what has happened in the past, and if you want to change it. Normally, the sewer commission will vote on someone coming in, tying in, but we got to get the application first.
So
Now, since there's question on the policy and the procedures up to this point in the capacity, my suggestion is to have the meeting with Weston and Sampson, square away the policy as best we can, have a better idea of what's going on, then have Mr. Noonan come back, and then you can make your decision. That's just a suggestion.
that's a very good
It
suggestion.
just seems to me that Mr. Noonan unfortunately didn't know the right procedure to follow. 2 years ago, had he gone and filled out one of these applications,
Could have done it.
he'd have been done by now.
I never-
So now he's going to go get an application that there's already a procedure for, that people have already filled out and they're already done. He's going to bring it to us, and then we're going to say, well, wait a minute, let's review this and go over this, when we've already done this in the past. There's already been a procedure,
Well,
we
that's
already
why I'm
have a
saying
procedure
it.
in there.
I don't know what transpired prior to today, why the application hasn't been filed, okay? But if you don't,
Never told
I
her.
was never told
It
about
was-
the application.
you know-
This is the first I've heard. I was just told to come and put my name on the
Well,
agenda
that's-
and it would get it voted on.
well, we're trying to square that away now for you,
I understand that.
okay? And I want to try to expedite this for you, as well as for everybody else, okay?
No, I'm just sitting here at the...
Yeah, so that then it'll be done with, you'll be, happy.
So go down, I can go down now and fill out the application.
See Liz.
And I'll come back in October.
You can see Joanne down there. Joanne's down there, right?
Well,
She's not in today?
Nobody's there?
So,
Oh, no, someone's.
Liz is here.
no, Liz is here.
Yeah,
If
but
he
she'll
leaves
be-
right now and goes to the DPW, he wants to be able to go pick up an application. Yeah, anyone there can.
Anywhere they can give it to you.
Yeah, and the application would be for that sewer
So
district.
then he can fill that out, send that to us,
Wherever sewer district.
Yep, get it in the mail,
and then,
Right there.
yeah.
Leave it in the office.
or you can leave it in the office. Okay.
All right, thank you. I'll see you in
Yeah,
October.
and we have your mailing address?
I guess I'll leave it down at the sewer.
Okay, yeah, that would be important. If we have to send you a letter or something, we want to be able to,
Sure.
okay? Thank you for coming in. Thank you.
Any other discussion on that matter? The next article on the agenda is the discussion of the 11 manholes on Bel Air Beach.
What is, where are we at with that? You guys haven't started work over there, have you?
it's all planned out. It's, Pat,
Pat, you want to have
yeah.
a seat up there?
This is Pat Cotton, Weston Sampson.
Yeah.
I've signed the notice to proceed, and Pat, you got it from D'Alessandro, the signed copy?
Correct.
And we're all set to go, it's just a matter of scheduling, correct?
Yes, the
Waiting on
work is
time.
scheduled for early October.
Okay,
They looked at the tides, the guys are getting training on the waterproofing materials.
You want to give your name and...
Pat Cotton from Weston and Sampson.
Good.
Yeah, you can drop that mic if you want.
You can sit.
Or you can sit over here.
Okay, this is fine. So that's what we're looking at in the early October schedule. We're reviewing the shop drawings, they're ordering the materials, everything's a go. Army Corps of Engineers has been notified, all that was required through them, which is a notification form because there's minimal environmental disturbance. A notice of intent was not required with the Conservation Commission after our discussions with them.
okay, great.
You
But,
consider that an emergency, that job?
Do I consider it an emergency?
Yeah.
I think it is a great need for those manholes to be. It could prevent future emergencies because those manholes are not located where I am.
So how do you know the condition of them?
They have televised as much as they can from both ends, but now we cannot access them.
Right, so how do you know the condition of them?
Of the current condition of the manholes?
Yes.
We know the condition of the ones that we saw. We don't know the condition of everyone. That's why we're performing this work, so that we can access them for
But-
future work.
So my question is, you don't know the condition of the manhole, yet you've drawn up a plan to fix that manhole, but you don't know what the condition of it is.
We drew up a plan to raise them to grade, so that we can access them. If
Yeah,
we-
and then you're gonna
if for
steam
some-
clean them, pressure wash them,
This-
waterproof them?
This is part of the inspection program to access them. So that's part of the FY15 annual sewer program, is to get access to these structures so that we can inspect them. To raise them up to grade, that's the correct way to provide access for them with minimal disturbance. If any other defects are found within the manholes, then those will be addressed in the report as part of the investigation process.
This come under the I&I?
Yes, this
Yeah.
all comes out of
So
the
the-
MWRA.
So what's the scope of work that's gonna be done now?
To raise them to grade.
Right. You're not gonna do any repair or maintenance to them? You're not gonna pressure wash them and line the inside of the manhole?
No, not if it's not necessary. We're going to inspect them as each one is raised. As part of that's all part of the investigation process. We haven't been able to access it.
$77,000? I thought, Randy, you gave us a scope of work saying that they're going to clean the manhole
No, I didn't.
and waterproof it.
The scope of work was to raise the manhole, waterproof what they raise, inspect it, so we can go in to see what the conditions of the pipes are. We don't know what the conditions of the pipes are because we can't access them because the manholes are buried.
Right.
So we have to get in there.
That's
We have to
my
get in-
point. That's my
We're
question
not-
is,
We're not going to Pat's point, is that if the manhole does not warrant sealing, then we're not going to seal it and waste
Okay.
the money. We have to go and inspect the
Correct.
manholes and the pipes.
Correct.
And this primarily is to raise it to grade so we can access them.
so it's $77,000 to raise 9 manholes?
Yeah.
Yes.
And moving forward, it'll make,
I gotta get some of that work.
It's under the beach is that's the
So,
reason.
last meeting we had, when we talked about this, we talked about raising them above grade. And I went to the conservation and talked to the, Abby is her name?
Abby, yes.
And she said, absolutely, it would be advantageous for us to raise them above grade because the Conservation Commission is not going to be happy every 2 years going in there and having to excavate a manhole to inspect it.
Well, I
And she
don't know
said-
about
and
that.
she-
because
Well,
I-
let me finish.
Sure.
She also told me that, the replication or the, can't think of the word, but whatever space that we take from them didn't have to be done because if we're running into a time constraint of, you know what, we won't be able to get all of them up and the wetlands replication done, we could do the wetlands in the springtime or at a later date. But she tended to agree that it would be wise to, not just to put them to grade, but to bring them above grade, because in 2 years, they'll be below grade again.
Well, I don't know where they're going to end up. I mean, if it's, the beach changes all the time. The problem that we've had for the last 20 years is that they have not been open and accessed. We will be maintaining them on a regular basis, and filming these and cameraing them so we know what's going on in case there's any I&I, because it's likely to happen there. If anywhere, it's under the ocean.
Absolutely.
So I didn't know that the scope is to bring it up to grade or a bit above grade because of the cost of doing it. Because there is a special material that they put in line, and they are getting trained on it. So it wasn't, you know, I didn't think residents would want a Wollaston Beach with 5 foot up
The
above.
residents don't want that.
We're trying to appease all
Yeah.
facets.
I
and
understand the
plan's already
residents
drawn.
don't want that, but you know what, I think the residents don't want a lot of things, but we can't always answer to them. We gotta do what's right. I mean, if we're getting,
Ratepayers.
If we find any infiltration at the time with TV and reparging the inside of the manholes and so forth and so on, that would probably be the best time to repair them?
Right.
Okay.
We
Is
do
that the
have,
plan, Randy, to, if you find something, to go ahead and and repair it? Or?
When we camera and inspect.
Back
This
and then
job
you find
isn't to camera and inspect. This is to raise the manholes so we have the ability to camera and inspect and repair.
Then there'll be a
Okay,
new
so we're
report,
not
we'll bring
going
it
to
to
do
the
any
commission.
TV work this year?
No.
Is that- okay.
They'll inspect the manhole, but
Okay.
there's no plans to camera.
Okay, okay. So that's all we're really doing, is making it accessible for the other functions to happen. Okay. Yeah, okay.
There is a plan to camera them. We started that was part of our fiscal 15
Yeah,
I&I plan.
Okay.
But when we attempted to camera, we couldn't, and that's what brought about the raising issue.
so we need to
We have
get
to
this
raise,
done, we need to get
we have
this
to raise
done
them before
now.
we can camera. That was my.
How can you
right.
justify
Yes.
the I&I? How can you justify it under the I&I?
under the I&I project?
Yeah.
Because it's accessed for II investigation,
Or investigation?
for an investigation.
an I&I investigation.
An I&I investigation.
So that's why they're.
That's gonna follow after this maintenance operation is completed, getting the manhole level.
It's part of the annual program, yeah.
Okay, so, and we need to do that in between the high and the low tide there.
Yes, and that's why there's a week in early October
Okay, well, okay.
that's set up, and just as a side note, all of these manholes will be GPSed when they're accessed.
Okay.
So as far as locating them in the future,
That's my next question.
If the manholes are found to be unserviceable at the time of the excavation, obviously you're gonna have to put new frames and covers on there. Is that included in that work?
yes, they're all new.
Okay, are the manhole frames and covers, they North American made?
They are
Is that
American-made.
in the, okay,
Yes,
all right.
yep.
They're watertight,
Watertight,
lockdown?
lockdown.
Okay.
They'll also be secured to the structure with stainless steel.
Yeah, okay.
Bolts
Yeah.
as well, and the waterproofing material
Good.
inside and outside.
Okay, good, thank you.
Who's waterproofing the manhole?
Delson.
So they're not buying a waterproofed manhole?
No, they're buying waterproofing materials to waterproof.
They purge the inside to seal it all
Yeah,
up.
but usually when you get a manhole, if you're putting a new road in, a new sewer in or whatever, and you buy a manhole, you get it, it's either got that black tar on it or whatever. I mean, why
Yeah, but
are we?
sometimes what happens is even though those are treated inside, okay, with the lining and so forth, sometimes you can't get a vacuum test. They won't pass a vacuum test, even though the joints are sealed, okay, and they're parged and everything else. There are just some points, like where pipes come in, sometimes they will leak. So that's the way to do it. Even if it were new, which it isn't, chances are they're probably mostly brick and mortar over there. So the resealing of all that could be done internally without putting a liner in or anything else.
Right. But they're not doing that. They're just getting the
No, but-
section.
That's right, the section that they're gonna elevate, that 3 or 4 feet,
Yeah.
they have to do that, okay, they have to do that by specification. They have to seal all of that area, okay? It's in the job spec to raise it up, seal it up, put new manhole frames and covers if needed.
Right, right.
That's the scope of the work, period. From that point up, has nothing to do with the remaining
Interior.
interior of the pipeline. That will come in inspection in 15, as Steve
Right, right.
mentioned,
Once
under
they
that project
access
that they're
that,
going to
right.
be doing. So that's the time to address that, and also to address the camera issue and any repairs that need to be made and stuff, okay? So,
Yep.
I'd get on with it, I would say.
Go for it.
Go for it, let's go, let's get it done before the tide comes in again.
We voted to accept that anyway last meeting, didn't we?
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
No, I was curious. I was,
okay.
Had some
thank you.
questions.
Thank you very much.
All right, any other questions on the manhole, 11 manholes in Bel Air? We'll go on to legal bill, Eric?
yeah, do we have a legal bill? Yes. Do we have a legal bill? I have never received a legal bill. You guys want to look at this? Have you seen this? No.
Is that something that was previously approved by the board?
This was the attorney when we were negotiating the consolidation agreement. It's the attorney that I used to write out the new consolidation. The selectmen, we had an existing agreement. The selectmen gave us a new agreement that wasn't the same as the existing one. So I consulted with him, and we came up with a proposal for the selectmen.
Okay, so according to this letter that I received a copy, Eric, that the procedure or the policy is stated by the Board of Selectmen that we have to go through them to seek counsel.
Well,
Okay, now that was the letter that I received. Okay, so,
let me just give you some
okay,
background here. That's not true. I've researched this, I've gone round and round with this. They keep telling me this. They haven't shown me anything in writing. I've shown them. I've actually talked to the past commissioner, Chairman Brandt. He said back in 1984, we went through this once before, already done it. That's when Hingham joined the MWRA. The MWRA didn't want Hingham, the town of Hingham, to be allowed into the MWRA. Commissioner Brandt argued that fact. The selectman said, you can't hire your own counsel. He said, we absolutely can, because the counsel that we have isn't qualified for this job. They said no, he said yes. He won, he took it to court, he took it to the Supreme Court and won, and got the town of Hingham into the MWRA. So there has been a precedent set with this. I don't know why they're so adamant about a $1,700 bill when we just spent $77,000 on manholes. It's just, I'm upset with this whole thing because they're not telling us the truth,
Well,
is my opinion.
okay.
They're not doing their homework. They're not showing me anything
Since
that says,
1986,
don't do
has
this.
this policy changed with the governance of legal counsel for commissions?
I did not research that
So we
part
don't
of it.
know that, okay? So I think we need to find that out before we make any statements at all, okay? I think we need to find out if we're
Table it
on
and
terra
find out.
firma or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, there may have, Eric, I'm just trying to keep it in the context of what it really is. That's all. Are we, or are we? We can't have a two
I've
policy.
asked 3 or 4 meetings.
Yeah.
Bring legal counsel here, bring legal counsel here. Nobody's ever shown up.
Hmm.
So,
Well, we can still, maybe we'll sit, then we're going to have a sit-down and resolve this with the selectmen,
yeah.
okay?
I know.
And
I do have to state that one of the bills was on last year's budget. There was no money encumbered for that bill because I didn't know that bill was out there. So I do not have a means to pay for it. There are no funds for it.
Okay?
You have
I talked to
a
John.
line item for
Hold on.
2015?
Hold on, let's answer these questions one at a time.
But let him speak, please. Go ahead, Matt.
I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
No, I just want you to be aware of that.
Okay, so when I was discussing this with John Brandt, he said, you don't need a line item in there, because I specifically brought that up. He said it comes under general operation.
I'm not speaking of whether you can pay the bill or not pay the bill. That's for, the selectmen and the commission to decide. What I'm saying is there's no funds to pay the bill because the work took place in last year's fiscal year. So it had to be paid in that fiscal year. If I have work out there that was done, I will encumber money to pay it in the next fiscal year. I did not know it because I didn't know that bill was out there. We received that in early July. So there was no funds there to pay that bill.
We notify them that next year we'll pay it, or?
So they have to wait, what, a year from the date to pay that bill?
I believe excuse me?
You just
That-
asked
that
if
bill-
we can notify them to pay it next year?
No, that bill I cannot pay that bill. It'd be illegal for me to pay that bill because there's no funds
No funds
to
available.
pay that bill.
Okay.
If I put that through, accounting would send it back to me.
What-
I might be able to.
Okay.
I'm Jean Montgomery, and I'm the treasurer collector. If you have a bill, like Randy said, from a prior year that has remained unpaid, you cannot pay it in a subsequent year, the remedy would be you would have to put it on as an article for town meeting next April as a special article and ask the taxpayers to approve paying that bill in a subsequent year. That's your remedy.
Unless we find out that what you said is a precedent, we can pay it in the following year.
Doesn't matter, it still has to go to town. Town meeting, a year from now.
All right, we'll
So
table
in
it.
April, the April town meeting.
All right, in April.
We'll table it.
6 months.
Yeah, we'll have an article drawn up on that.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah,
As far as the other bills, I have to have authorization, or, I can put them through, I just don't know if accounting will pay them. So you'll have to
Yeah, we'll have to
square that away
look
with the
up
selectmen.
a mechanism for the town meeting, but in the interim, I think we need to find out if what you're saying is
legal.
correct,
Yeah.
that we're entitled to that kind of representation, and that we don't need approval. But before we go down that road, let's talk to the selectmen and find out if, since 1986, or even further back, has there been a change in policy that's been approved for legal representation? I think we have to do that. We have to do that, Eric, okay?
Not a problem.
All right.
You want to look into that?
Yeah, I'll have to talk to the selectmen about
All right.
that. Let me write a note for myself here.
Any other discussion on the legal bill? If not, we'll go on to quarterly billing. On quarterly billing, I brought this up before, that we go quarterly, because a lot of people that are retired and they're on a fixed income, they get a bill for $800, they can cut it down to quarterly and you get it for $400. It's a lot easier for them as far to budget their money. So I contacted 10 towns, and they're all similar to Hingham, and they're all quarterly billing. So there's no reason that we can't have quarterly billing.
We base our bill off the water,
Quarterly
which
billing.
is quarterly billing.
Right.
See
We
why we-
probably have an agreement with the water company to share the district usage information, right, for twice a year?
Right.
So now that means we're gonna have to renegotiate a deal to do it 4 times a year, okay, with them. And then, is it the treasurer that actually handles all the transaction in those bills, treasurer's office, that sends out the
Billing.
the billing for the sewer and so forth?
About Gene Montgomery.
Okay, Gene.
Treasurer.
Is that correct?
What we do, about a year and a half ago, we took over the collection end of the billing. So we work with, Liz goes through and she prepares the commitment, much like the assessors do with real estate tax bills. The bill gets sent over and it is processed and mailed out, and we take over the collection end. So we do the collection twice a year. And we have been able to pick this up in our office, which is processing all of your payments twice a year, committing the unpaid bills to lien, and reconciling the accounts with the town accountant, your sewer receivables, and dealing with the audit for you at no extra charge when we took this over a year ago in the tax collector's office. So the question is, yes, we process it. As far as the water company goes, I believe you have your consumption in place. You get that quarterly. So I don't think it would be an issue with the water company per se.
Well, how about you guys? Do you have the power?
I would actually recommend against it. I've talked to Ed about this on many occasions, and I know this is something he's been concerned about. And because of his concern and his passion for people who are having difficulty paying, we have actually entered into a number of payment arrangements. And we encourage anybody who has an extraordinarily or an unusually high bill, that sometimes can happen, you know, with the way the cycle goes, if they have outdoor waters, to come to us, and we will actually put them on a quarterly collection schedule at no charge. So we're doing this to save the costs.
It's not what do you call it, level playing field when everybody doesn't have the same quarterly ability. I'd like to see the quarterly billing go through.
You could, if you do quarterly billing, this would be my input on that.
Okay.
I will know, my office will no longer be able to do the collection in-house because you're doubling the work. You're going from twice a year to 4 times a year.
We always did it though at the sewer department
And
before.
you had a clerk to do it that you were
Right.
paying. We're picked up this work for you. I'm not sure you're interested in taking the collection over again. That would be something you would have, that would be another issue. My recommendation would be, if you were to decide to go quarterly, would be you would have to go to a lockbox service. So a lockbox service will probably be able to process maybe 60% of your payments. 40% will still come back to the town under a lockbox, because there's always bills that come in that are not properly with the right remittance slip and so forth. So the standard is about 60% can go through lockbox, 40 will come back to the town, which will cut down the processing. But there's a cost to that. Lockbox services are not free. And we could continue to do it, but it wouldn't be free. So I'm really, knowing the commission has always had a passion for trying to keep their costs for their user rate as low as they possibly can and being reasonable. It just seemed like a good alternative to work with people who are having problems. I don't believe that you're even charging interest to people who have come and arranged a payment plan because of a hardship or an extraordinarily hard bill. I will also tell you that with commitments of this size, now there may be 10 other communities, and that'd be great if you'd share that information with me, that do quarterly billing. Those are going to be your cities and your much larger communities. Hingham is unique in that you only have about 2,500, maybe 3,000 customers of our 8,000 community base, residential and commercial base. And so you're dealing with a commitment of maybe $2.5 million a year to incur the extra cost, personnel, and time to process and build this.
How much cost is it gonna be?
I didn't realize this was going to
Okay.
be on the, I think Liz may have the figures. I just heard today that this was going to be on your agenda, so I haven't pulled together figures. I'd have to go out for a lockbox, and on for real estate, it was going to be about $7,000 or $8,000.
What happens if we take over the water company?
I have no idea, I haven't gotten that far yet.
No, but I mean, that's an alternative, I guess.
You still have your work in-house,
Yeah.
no matter who owns the water consumption. The water company right now is, I believe, their consumption turnover is very good, and, you know, but you also have timing of their quarterly billing cycle with your billing
Right, I
cycle.
don't give them.
Of course, the other thing is, there's money out there. If you only do it twice a year, if you do it quarterly, we have more revenue coming in for the ratepayers. You ever look at it that way?
Well, the revenue is not significant enough, particularly in this interest-earning environment, to really make that argument. We're not having a cash flow problem.
No, I don't
I
say
do not
that,
have
but
a
I'm
cash
saying
flow
there's
problem.
additional revenue for the sewer department coming in.
The money that we collect under sewer use receivables, the interest, no, it does go to the sewer users, but it is
Yeah.
at, right now, those are kept in a liquid account. They have to be kept in a liquid account. They're short-term cash flow living money, and they're earning interest at about 0.012%. So you're not, and I don't think you're going to see a significant amount of interest earnings on that.
We're gonna look into it.
It will not, I can pretty much guarantee you, and I will do an analysis, it will not exceed or even meet what it's going to cost you to take on quarterly billing.
But we'll
And, you know,
look
to me,
into it.
work is work. I love to work. I have a great department. I don't turn down work. That's not my nature. I used to
No,
collect
but
sewer
if we
use
have
revenue.
a
and I worked in
clerk
the department.
that has the time, we could work with you on it, you know?
It's more of a cost issue.
That's what-
If you as a board, and you're the policymakers,
Right.
feel that the cost is worth
Okay.
that, given the fact that there are other alternatives being offered, because we're a small community, you're a small sewer use base, we're still a town that can offer individualized services. We're not a big city. We know our people, we know who are having problems and who are not. And we are still, at least in my office, and I'm sure your office is the same way, we're very user-friendly. So as long as you're able to have that kind of a working arrangement with your people, your taxpayers, your sewer users, I say take advantage of it. Let's try to make it easy and not escalate those costs. The other policymakers, I'm just here to tell you there will be a cost, and we're willing to work another way with you on it.
We'll look into it and we'll get back.
So
Thank you.
that's-
Thank you
it's-
very much.
It's up to you. That's
Thank you.
just my
Thank you.
Thank you.
Want to table that one, Ed?
Yeah, we'll table that
Table that.
to the
Okay.
23rd, is it, we're gonna have the next meeting? I guess the next agenda is supervisor report.
Welcome, Bob.
Thank you very
Glad
much,
to have you
Steve.
aboard.
A little warmer now than it was back in the winter, eh?
Yeah. Absolutely. The Ware River Pumping Station's been repainted by the sewer department crew. Included in your packet is a copy of my letter to Randy Sylvester acknowledging a job well done. I invite any of the commissioners to pay a visit down to that station at 340 Rockland Street and see how nice it looks.
Good.
Guys did a great job down there. As we know, we've talked about it, Shipping Cottage Sewer Extension Project is complete with the exception of a couple of items such as resetting the 3 Hingham Highway bounds. The original granite bounds that date back 100 years or more will probably, will be used. And I've got Rob Rosa, is the licensed surveyor that's going to come down. I think I'm going to meet with him Thursday.
Set the milestones,
So we'll
yeah.
set those bounds and be done with that.
Okay.
I'm procuring prices to purchase a new closed caption TV push camera. The camera we now own is more than 15 years old and is beginning to malfunction. The push camera is integral to the department's operations, not only to assist the ratepayers with any sewer-related problems they may be experiencing, but also to verify or dispute any claims brought against the town. An upgraded camera will also aid in the long-term mapping of the sewer system. Right now, I'm getting prices at about $12,000.
What's that for?
A push
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah, and you have Randy had lamented, it has a potential for a portable facility so that you can see what's going on as the camera goes through the pipeline.
Yes.
Records the footage.
Records
Gives you
everything.
a CD of what's going on there so that you can identify the
It
area.
records it, and you can actually go out and locate it, locate
Yeah.
the line.
Right.
It's very sophisticated for a push camera.
So can you,
What's the
can you
difference?
trace the line off the signal
we
from
can
the
trace
trace
it.
camera?
Yes.
Okay, so even though it's a cement line pipe or whatever, plastic, you'll be able to trace the line because of the signal from the camera.
Correct.
It's got 100% accuracy up to about 15 feet deep. So
Good.
we don't have much more
We
than
don't
that.
have much that deep, do we?
No, a little bit in Crow
We
Point.
have a lot of pumping stations, but,
But it's, it's nothing we've gone out and bought yet. Just want to bring it to your attention. We're trying to get some
Great
claims,
idea.
some
Question, Steve,
ideas.
what's the difference if you had a company come in and do it, as far as?
Oh, well, a company, Pat, help me out here. How much was it for National to come in and camera lateral? Isn't it $5,000 for the first 50 feet, or, do you remember off the top of your head? This push camera will pay for itself in
Well,
three
I'd like to have
uses.
you take the alternative too, so you can show to us what the difference is in the cost, if you can do
We
that.
actually have some of those bills that are coming in. But I would dare say, within 3 uses, it's going to pay for itself, as opposed to have a National come in and camera.
yeah,
a
that's a
lateral.
good idea.
Give me that, in writing, so that we have an idea, okay?
Sure.
We'll put it an estimate in, and I believe we can work it out in our capital budget, since it will be a capital item.
Will the purchase of the camera also include the training and the use of the equipment? Is that,
Yeah, we've already had demonstrations with Rigid. I'm setting something up with Q's, and I've got it on my procurement
If
sheet. I
they
can't remember the
respond.
other. Yeah, there's one that, Aries, I'm waiting for Aries, and they haven't
Yeah.
responded, so.
okay.
All right, so next is, the Walton Cove Station will have its wet well modified in the near future as part of the fiscal year 2015 capital expenditures. The catwalk will be removed to allow flow to enter the station more freely. Right now, the manholes on Downer Ave, as well as the gravity mains, are surcharged as far back as Kilmer Road to the north. And that's because the catwalk, for some reason, is right in front of the incoming, so everything stops
It's
right
actually
there, and it just
obstruction
backs
for the
up.
flow, so you need to get rid of that. That's
Yes,
right.
and this is something that's been in the works since,
Yeah.
geez, before Jim left.
Good, good idea, good.
Right now, the price I've got, the best price is Williamson came in at about $3,500. Got to add the bypass pumping to that as well, though, so that's going to
Is
be
that
an
an
additional.
additional capital, and you're gonna
Yes.
include that in the,
Yes.
yeah, okay, good.
Last, the question of whether or not to allow a proposed new development off the end of Lewis Court spearheaded a bigger conversation with regard to the boundary of the North Sewer District. I expect some upcoming conversations with MWRA with regard to updating the boundary to include the former NAD, as well as other reach-in areas such as Wampatuck State Park, Hingham High School, Central Fire, and Town Hall. I'll keep the commission apprised of when these conversations are scheduled to take place, and obviously invite you guys
Could I-
to be part of that.
Question here, Steve. The high school, is that not on a pressure line that comes down
yeah.
Pleasant Street across Cronin Field and out onto Central Street?
That's correct. Those were all what we call reach-ins. The MWRA boundary stops at Lewis Court and runs somewhere to the corner of Bear Cove Park Drive. These have all been reached in. There's little bits and pieces that have been added through the year. The NAD got involved, got brought in 1974.
So is some of the subdivision out of the North Sewer District, or just part of it? Is it,
Subdivision? Oh,
Lewis
it
Court.
seems like the whole thing is out. It looks, all the evidence proves that it's out.
okay.
Have they documented that, how far the reach-in is on that?
No, this is something that we're going to start.
They should be doing that, not us. I mean, they should.
Well,
give
we
us-
want to be involved with the conversation, I
We can be
think.
involved, but I think they should, pay for the cost of,
Yeah, any costs associated with that. But again, that's a discussion that we can have.
All right.
I know Bruce had something he wanted to perhaps add on that when we talk about the boundary.
I wrote.
Good morning, Bruce.
Good morning, Eric. I have been a proponent to try to get World's End connected to the sewer system. It's probably the most difficult area that we have in town to replace septic systems based on the geology, the wetlands. We also, it's a very significant environmental problem because all of that area contributes to Hingham Harbor. The lots are small. The original use of those lots were cottages, so most of them are cesspools. We've had issues with trying to upgrade failed systems to the point where we actually have one system going in a private way now to do it, because we're talking a lot of about 5,000 square feet, and 90% of the lot is bedrock, and we can't blast it. We're just making a bathtub out of the situation. So I would encourage the commission to start conversation with the MWRA and see if there's any possibility that we could extend sewer into that area. It's certainly in the benefit of not only the sewer ratepayers, but it's a benefit to the entire town, because a lot of different individuals and organizations use the harbor for different reasons, from the yacht club to the Lincoln Sailing to the bathing beach. So we want to try to preserve that, and also preserve the clam beds and things like that. This would help out significantly if we could at least start the conversation.
Is there going to be a runoff? The Army Corps of Engineers and DEP will be involved too, right?
Oh, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but we have to, I think it would be prudent to start conversations with the MWRA, especially where Steve is going to be meeting with them and talking. Maybe we can start throwing out some ideas and seeing where that leads us.
Bruce, would you be willing to just give us a brief summary of this conversation from the Board of Health? Send us a letter on that. That would be part of the basis for going forward in discussion, you know, some basis of need, to be honest with you, okay? And the fact that the MWRA and the federal government spent billions of dollars cleaning up Boston Harbor via the egg digesters and other communities. They are also providing funds for some of the work that Randy and Steve are doing around the coastal communities, Quincy in particular, along Wollaston Beach. They had to close in the sewer systems and the drains and so forth and so on. So, you know.
There is a bill out now, $1.5 billion for water, infrastructure, and sewer. So we could come in under the MWRA, you know, could use that money for the project.
Sure. It would be a real bonus for the town to go forward with something of this nature.
Yeah, maybe we ought to speak to our legislators too, you know.
Yeah, sure. Before you go, Bruce, SRF funds, are those, can those be tapped for storage improvements and installations, do you know?
Oh, yeah. SRF
So that's also for sewer, it's not just for water?
Yeah, there's two programs. There's a drinking water,
Yeah, right.
SRF, and there's a clean water, SRF.
Clean water,
Like this
yeah.
is wastewater.
Okay, so that's another source of, that would be another source possibly of discussion, okay.
What we could do, Bruce, maybe we could look into it and then we get together with you people and have a joint meeting.
Sure. I mean, I think all of the pieces are there. It's just of extending it. It's just pulling everybody together and documenting that it is a need, not a want, and certainly would be a bonus.
The MWRA seems to be open right now to these types of discussions, so it may be a good time.
I think it's just similar to the Ware River project. That was because that was contaminating. So this is the same idea, you know, it's precedent been set, I think, you know.
Yeah.
The algae blooms get bigger and bigger.
It is.
Nitrification, go for it.
I know. That's the truth. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bruce, thank you.
Anything else in supervisory report?
Nope, I'm all done.
Okay, the other thing was we have general business items not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance. Tom?
To let you know, pursuant to the open meeting law,
You want to stand up here, please,
Sorry
Tom?
about that.
My hearing aids are starting to fail me, so.
Tom Patch. Just under the open meeting law, it's my understanding the Attorney General's ruled that general business is not a legitimate agenda item. So I have to let you guys
Not
move
an
on
agenda,
first. I'm just telling you.
we're not gonna vote, we're just gonna discuss.
I'm just telling you, it can't be an agenda item. Talk to town council. It's on it's on the AG's website. So I'm just letting you know that that's what I have to do.
Well, somebody told me that the school department is using this, no?
Eddie, just because they're doing it doesn't mean that you guys should do it, I'm just saying, I'm letting you know. I'm trying to be a good guy about this. I'm not trying to bust anybody's chops. I'm just letting you know, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. I really wanted to just make under the general business, we're still working on that consolidated agreement.
Yeah.
And I've read through it, and I've spoken to it a couple of times, and I think we could pull it together and shop it around, and so that we could get consensus, and if we could get that. But one of the things that I'd like to think about over the next 2 weeks is to make that a permanent agreement with the DPW. This business of every 2 or 3 years and going through all of this stuff, I don't think, A, it's necessary, and B, the operation of the sewer commission is with the DPW, okay? Which is fine. I have no problem with that. And I don't know if Randy and the selectmen would be interested in a permanent agreement to be done with this, because there are paragraphs in there that allow for discussion of problems and solutions to inquiries, so that we don't have to open everything up, or maybe just a simple memorandum of agreement to discuss something and attach that to the Exhibit A after, so forth and so on. So just so that we get rid of that. I don't think we need to talk about that every couple of years.
You want to bring that up in the October meeting?
I will bring that up in the October meeting, but kind of think about that, okay? Randy, is that something that, okay? Steve?
Is there any other issues that are going to be brought up?
What's the exact date of the October meeting?
Is that 23rd?
23rd?
Yeah, 8:30?
September 23rd at what time?
October, isn't it? We say October.
Well, we wanted to have, we need to have a meeting with these guys
Yeah,
first.
23rd.
Can we do that on the September 23rd? You
23rd.
guys available for general discussion?
I can be, but can I suggest the following week, the 30th? Is that a problem? You try to do Tuesday, right?
Tuesday, yeah.
How does it look for you, Randy, that date?
What? You,
Either or for me.
September
Either way,
30th?
September 30th, all right, guys? Okay?
September 30th,
Steve?
8:30?
And that'll be I would consider it like a work session.
Yeah, work session.
Work session.
And we'll get some, when, I want to get you documents ahead of time, obviously. So if I get stuff by next Friday.
It's going to be a commissions meeting. You're going to have an agenda, correct?
Right.
And you're going to have several things on the agenda?
Well, just the discussions that we need to have about 3 basic things, I guess, is that right? Just
Yeah.
the 3 basic things that we want to cover.
Right.
Okay, because we need to have Mr. Noonan's issue, we need to resolve that for that man, okay?
That's
And
the
for the
policy.
commission, for the town. Then we need to resolve that policy, and that'd be a good time to discuss it. Then in the late October, will be more than 30 days for the general public to write comments or concerns or come to the meetings and so forth and so on. And in that way, we can vote in October and get that out of the way. I'd like to be able to get this consolidation agreement done by then also, Randy, okay?
What is the, we extended it to, what was the date we extended it to? The
90 days, right?
It was 90 days.
When is
So-
it up?
I think it's September 30th, right?
September 30th?
Over there. Thereabouts.
Can you check on that, Liz, and let us know?
Yeah, it is September 30th.
30th?
Okay.
To June 30th.
So should we ask to extend that on the 23rd or what, 30th? Is that,
I don't think we extended it. I think the selectmen extended it.
Both,
So we approved it, okay.
yeah, so we're going to ask
So how,
that again.
so how does this go down? We submit our version of the thing, and the
We take
selectmen
the
have to...
agreement, okay, we discuss the agreement in a public meeting, how we perceive it, okay?
And input
And
from
we
the-
won't vote on it, but this is the one we're going to draft up, and we're going to send to DPW and the selectmen and anyone else who we have to send it to, and let them come back on the 30th. And if they have valid reasons to change it, if we can't reach consensus at that point, then we're going to have to extend again if they're willing to do that.
We're going to arbitration with the two.
Well,
Is this-
I don't want to
is
have to
this- is
do
this a
that. I think we just,
contract?
we don't need to do
Well,
that.
it reads that way, though, if we can't agree.
Yeah, I understand, but there's no reason why we can't come to a consensus on
Is this a
It's-
contract?
It's a contract.
It's basically a contract, but you know what, Eric? We don't operate the system. You know, everybody else,
It says on the consolidation agreement.
that's correct. They consolidated with the DPW all the tasks, the work tasks and the operations.
I read it, I understand it.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying, it says that it's an agreement.
Right.
So when we talk about it, are we talking about an agreement, or are we talking about a contract?
No, we're talking
I
about
mean, it was
an
referenced
agreement.
in the back that we're going to be operating without a contract. I said,
No.
what,
No.
what?
We're gonna get this put away because we need to get it done. We can't
I
keep
agree.
vacillating on this
I don't
issue.
disagree with you.
Yeah.
My question is it an agreement or is it a contract?
I assume, I shouldn't.
I mean, right
won't
now,
assume. I won't
right
use
now
the
it's
word
semantics
assume,
to me.
because that's the mother of destruction.
Right, but it's semantics to me. I mean, you're talking about an agreement which would say, hey, you know what, I'll work with you, you work with me, this sounds good, there shouldn't be such
Okay.
a thing about it. But then it goes into
It
contract.
says consolidation agreement right at the head of the new, okay, so it's just
Yeah.
gonna be an agreement.
So it's just got to be an agreement.
Right. And we're trying to finally, completely divorce this thing.
Resolve it.
Resolve it. That's correct.
I totally agree.
That's all.
This is all, that seems to be separate to the betterment and
Yeah.
policy.
Yes.
Are they
Yes.
going to be separate meetings? Because you're trying to do all of that in one work session. That's
Well, we'd like to clean that all up once and for all. Whatever issues are hanging out there, that's one of the issues that we might be having, quite frankly, is timely approvals or disapprovals of
Can I make a
commission business.
suggestion?
So, excuse me?
Can I make a suggestion?
Go on.
Why don't Weston and Sampson and one of the commissioners and the DPW and Steve get together and go through the work session, and then we can have it basically a draft going into that meeting. So
Okay.
we can present it to the
That's
commission.
basically, I
Then they can make their comments,
Comments on it?
Comments, yeah,
and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Is that,
Yeah.
yes.
yeah.
So then the three of, then it doesn't have to be a public meeting, then we can present it at the commissioners' meeting on the 23rd or 30th.
30th of October.
And then we'll go from there. It might shorten the time frame a little bit.
Yeah,
We can get you the drafts beforehand, so you know what you'll be talking about on that
Yeah.
day. And
That's
keep the
why I
time
wanna-
frame down.
make sure that we get this to you guys, get it to the selectmen so that we can get on with it.
So
Okay?
I'll talk to Steve offline
Okay.
and set up a meeting and
Yeah.
get a hold of Bob, is that?
That's fine. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll get a hold of Bob and
Reach
then
out.
we can sit down and
Yeah,
go through it. Okay,
Okay.
great.
All right,
So
so
that's instead of scheduling a meeting on September.
What day, when are you
Well,
gonna do
there's going to be
that?
a meeting on the 30th also.
I'm not
Oh,
sure.
September.
Yes.
What date are you gonna do that now?
I don't know yet. I got to
They're going to
get,
figure it out. Basically,
Steve's
they're going to have a
schedules.
meeting, they're going to put a package together to submit it to us on the 30th.
Yeah, but when is he gonna meet with,
They have to
I
figure that out.
don't know yet.
Figure that out.
Yeah, we are going to look at our
Figure that out.
schedules.
We'll be
Now,
notified.
I'll let Bob know.
okay,
So Bob will be there.
yeah, let me know, I'll be there too.
Yeah.
You can't be there. It's either you or Bob.
All right.
It'll only be one of
We'll let
you.
Bob do it.
Okay.
so we have the September 23rd then, 30th, and then what's the October meeting?
Okay, how far out can we go in October? What's the last Tuesday in October? 28th? Is that doable?
October 28th,
Yep.
8:30?
Yep.
I think we're all set. Anything else to discuss, or? No, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
With the motion, we adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.